Right, Unit 9, number 2, Fractional Exponents. So you'll be happy to know that fractional exponents combine two of your favorite things, fractions and radicals. That's right, a fraction as an exponent is just a radical. That's right, pretty exciting. To do that, though, you have to know a couple things. First, you have to know the parts of a radical. So this is a radical. There's two parts. There's the index that goes here. Okay, it's like a little number, almost like an exponent, but it goes right on this little spot above that little check mark. And then underneath the radical, it's called the radicand. With my nasal accent, I'm sure it sounds really awesome whenever I say that word. However, so looking here, when you do this, just going to make it a little thingy bigger. Okay, the index for this one, you can do that for yourself. If you're not sure, pause it, whatever, is 3, and the radicand is 2x. Over here, this isn't my best example ever. This 2 is the coefficient in front. Okay, so that 2 has nothing to do with the radical at all. Okay, probably would have been better to have it as a different number, but whatever. This is the square root. When you have a square root, the index is automatically a 2. So when there is no number as an index, like over here, there's a little 5, that's an index. And over on the first example, it was a 3. If there is no index, the index is a 2. Okay, so this is maybe the first time you've ever seen when something isn't there, it's a 1. It's your usual. This is a 2 now. Okay, and then the radicand is 15. Moving over. This one pretty straightforward. The index is 5. The radicand is x to the third. Okay, so moving down, exponents are radicals. What that means is the top number here is the inside number, and the thing on the bottom, what you're dividing by, the bottom of the fraction, that's the index. Okay, so this one is the radicand, and the bottom one is the index. I don't know why this isn't writing, but whatever. So to make it simpler, possibly, this goes, if you look at this one, the top number's in, goes inside the radical, the bottom number's out. So it goes in, out. So in, out burgers, however you want to think about it. It's just the way it is. So also if you're given a radical, whatever's on the index goes on the bottom of the fraction. Whatever inside the radical goes on the top of the fraction. So do a couple practice. I'll do a couple and then you can pause it and look at the answers. Okay, so I'll just do a couple here first. So we look here, what is the 1/2 going to? And again, that's also very important. The 1/2 is going to the 3. 3 is the base of this power. So 3 is the radicand. Okay. And then the 1 goes inside the radical, and the 2 goes outside. That's it. Now that 2 is the square root, so we can also write this one as the square root of 3. You don't need the 2 here, and you don't need the 1 there. So it's just the square root of 3 is just fine. Okay, so whenever there's a 2 on the bottom, that's a square root. So, okay, so for this one, you have 6. Inside is 1, outside is 3. So here, what is the 5/2 going to? The 5/2 is going to just the 6. Remember, we talked about that when we did negative exponents and zero exponents. That negative is more like -1 times 6 to the 5/2. Okay, that -1 is not inside the radical. So that's going to go outside. The 6 goes inside. So then the 5 goes here, and the 2 goes there. Wow, that is really bad. Just really quick, let me just rewrite that. You know, put it on double time, whatever you guys like to do. So this is a 5, and that's a 2. The 2 goes right there. But again, I don't need it because anytime there's a 2, it's understood we don't need to put it. So just go ahead and try these out. You just have to know what the radical is going to. So speed it up, whatever you got to do. I'm just going to walk through it. So that whole thing, since it's in parentheses, it's to the 3/2 power. The whole thing goes under the radical. And then this whole thing is being raised to the 3rd power, and that's a square root, but I don't need to put the 2. That's it. This is inside, that's outside. And when it's a 2, you don't even have to write it. Easy. Okay, what is the 2/3 going to with this one? Since there are no parentheses, the 2/3 is going only to what it's right next to. Okay, so y to the 2/3 is going to be inside, is going to be the radical part. And that 5, okay, whatever. This thing is crazy. The 5x to the 5th goes in front. So the y goes inside, the 2 goes inside, 3 goes outside. You just have to be careful. It does get a little weird looking sometimes. Excuse me. When you have an exponent, an exponent and an index. So just watch that. Moving on. I'm crazy. Here we go. This one pretty straightforward. The whole thing is under the radical. So x to the 5th y squared is under the radical. The 1 is on the inside, the 10 is on the outside. Since the 1 is on the inside, we can just write it like that because to the 1st power is nothing. All right, rewrite with positive rational exponents. That just means we're going the other way. So we have a radical. Can we write it as an exponent? So with something like this, what you have to know is what's on the inside, what's on the outside. There's a couple ways to do this one. The easiest way to do this one is whatever's inside. If it's not already in parentheses, put it in parentheses and put a 1 there. Note whatever the index is. Since there is no index written there, we know that it's a 2. Okay, always know that. So this one can be simply written as this. Remember, this one is inside, so it goes on top. And this one is outside, so it goes on the bottom. All right, this one, we want positive rational exponents. Remember, rational just means fraction. So just means I can't bring this one up because that would make it a negative exponent. We can't do that. Don't do that. I don't know what the heck that was. Okay, so we just write this as a to the 5/7. Okay, since this is in the bottom, it stays in the bottom and it'll stay positive. This one, negative is on the outside. This whole mess is on the inside. It's got parentheses like we had on this one up top here. We didn't have parentheses, so we put it, and we put that little 1 here, right here. We don't need that because it's got a 5. So that's the difference between those two. Okay, so it has a 5. So what is the number, the index there? Well, it's blank, so it's a 2. So it's 5/2. That is all. This one, the 4 is not inside the radical, so we know we're going to do something like this. This whole mess, that entire mess, is under the radical, so we like to just group it all together and make it a 1. And then just do 16, a to the 5th, b to the 6th, and then that's up, that's on the top, that's on the bottom. And that's it. Now we will be able to do our, exponent rules and all that stuff where you distribute that in, but that is for tomorrow. So we're just going to kind of stick with this part today. This one, we'll just do a little bit of simplifying. with this one. And what we want to do is we want to simplify and leave the answer. Oh, that's awesome. Leave the answer in simplest radical form. So that means we have two x's here. We have x, the square root of x, and the cube root of x. We want to write that as one radical. One radical. So the way that we do that, instead of trying to deal with the radicals, which are very confusing, we deal with fractions, which are not as confusing. That's right, they aren't. Okay? We rewrite this one as x to the 1/2 power. We rewrite this one as x to the 1/3 power, because remember there's a 1 there. 3 there, just do what we just did 100 times. And we simply do, when we multiply the bases, we add the exponents. So we're going to add 1/2 and 1/3. Now if you don't like fractions, you get the common denominator thing, blows your mind, whatever, use your calculator. Just make sure you put this stuff in parentheses. Or you use your, math, move over to num, and choice D will put you in a fraction mode. Okay, and then just do 1/2 plus 1/3, and that is 5/6. So then writing this with one radical, remember that one's inside, that one's outside, in, out. That's it. That's all it takes. Same deal with this one. Rewrite it as a fraction. So, oh, that's not an x. I know, Miss Barris, it's not an x. All right, sorry. So it's m to the 2/3 over m to the 1/5. Now this is division. We're dividing here. The bases are being divided, so we subtract our exponents. 2/3 minus 1/5. Not sure if I did that when I did this, so hold on a sec. Yeah, I'm good. So it's m to the 7/15, which if we want to write this, let's use the spot where we have a lot of room over here. If we want to write this as one radical, the 7, it goes on the inside, that's in, out, in, out. So that goes on the inside, the 15 is the root. And that's it. Okay, the bottom is even easier. This mess is even easier. Simply just want to put this in my calculator. So if you ever have to evaluate something, now when I say evaluate, I mean it's all numbers. So when anything's all numbers, just use your calculator and plug it in. So remember up here, it says fractions must be in parentheses, or you create your fractions here with the math. Choose the math button, move over to num, and then choice D. Okay, if you want to go over that with your teacher tomorrow, feel free. Okay, just truthfully, plug this in your calculator exactly the way it is. And the way you would put it in is -16 to the 1 divided by 2, or again, you can make this a fraction. So 16 to the 1 divided by 2, that's the same as -16 square root of it. And that's -4. So you can think of this, sometimes you can do this in your head, negative the square root of 16. Okay, and then just put these in your calculator. If you want to, pause it and then fast forward to the answers, I'm happy with you. So this one, just plug it in. Remember, this is the only thing being raised to the 1/4 power. So this turns out to be 15. Make sure when you're doing this, if you're just using parentheses, both of those fractions are in parentheses. Remember, fractions need to be hugged. They need these hugs around them. So this one is 25. This one here is -2. This one is 2,000. And this one, last one here, is -1/2. And no, you cannot write -0.5, okay? The question is in the terms of a fraction, so the answer needs to be in terms of a fraction. All right, have a good day.